Okay, Sam. Hell yeah! Oh, hell yeah! Yes. Hell yeah! I am here with the newly crowned American record holder in the men's discus, Sam Mattis. Sam, we are 1 week removed from you breaking the historic American record at Throwtown, Ramona. You've had a week to reflect on your performance, what this means, the history of track and field, the history of your career. How are you feeling right now?
It's crazy. I mean, I feel good. It was an awesome week of throwing. I think I had like 3 or 4, maybe even 5, like top 10 marks all time for me. So just really, really good week. I'm in really good form. Getting back to training wasn't too hard. I feel like last year we sold out to try to throw over 70 for the first time, but this year we kind of obviously didn't cruise into it, but we didn't really back off too much. So feel really good. It's crazy to see my name at like the top of all Americans who have ever thrown a discus. That's insane. I still can't comprehend that. But yeah, it's really cool.
And a few of those legends that used to hold that record have been a huge influence on you, like guys like Mac Wilkins. I heard you talk before on the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast. I used to watch all these guys on repeat on YouTube when you were in high school and college, learning how to throw better. When you kind of put your performance in the perspective of lining up with the same names as those legends, how does it what does it mean to you on this throw versus maybe previous PRs you've had?
Yeah, I mean, there's a phrase like we walk or we stand on the shoulders of giants, and I think that's very true in this case. Like all those guys whose videos I would watch for hours after throwing during the week in high school and in college, like they helped shape the sport and make it what it is today. They created like our understanding of technique and laid the foundations for the training methods that we all kind of follow today. I still think they're all better than I am. Like they're very accomplished and medaled athletes. I've had a couple really, really good throws, but I definitely haven't had their level of success at championships, hopefully yet, but we'll see. But it's cool to continue that lineage and be a part of it now.
I think it's shown in the last few years that you've made a lot of progress in terms of your consistency over 65 meters. Like you said earlier, that you first hit 70 meters at Throwtown last year, getting very close to what the world athletics considered to be the American record at the time, just fell slightly short. What do you think you guys did in the last 2 years, you and Dane, working on technique, maybe things in the weight room that led to this result?
Well, this is my 10th year training with Dane, and 10 years is a lot of time to get to know what works for communication, for training methods, for technical cues, and for weightlifting. And I think the last 2 years, with a lot of help from Christoph Kipp as well, we've really figured out what works for me, what I take away that can help me achieve higher levels and maintain consistency there. And I think we've also just simplified it. Like we've been saying 5 to 7 of the same things to each other for 10 years now in terms of how we see the throw, and maybe like 4 of the same things for how we see the weightlifting component. And now we've got some data to back it all up and verify for us like what's important and what's not, help us focus. And I think that's all just helped build consistency and focus. And those are really the 2 secrets behind throwing far, I think. So it's just dialing those in.
And when do you think the American records really started becoming a tangible goal for you in your career? Is this something that you've been dreaming about since high school? Obviously, we know you have a close relationship with your father, who also was a thrower, who taught you how to throw discus early on and pretty much was your main coach throughout high school. Were you thinking about all the way back then, or is this something that you kind of was building towards as a possible goal?
I think I probably suffered from the Dunning-Kruger effect in high school, where I got decent in high school and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw so far. I'm gonna throw 70 by the time I'm done with college. And like, that's not how it works unless you're Mikolas Alekna. And I'm not. So it took a while. I don't think when I started my professional career, or even until basically like 2 years ago, um, I thought I'd have a realistic chance of throwing the American record. I thought I could throw far. I thought 70 was a pretty good goal to have for my career. And then last year, as we were getting up to the season, we were like, oh, I'm throwing pretty well. If everything goes right and we peak really hard for this and I hit the perfect throw, maybe we can get it. Maybe we can get close. And we did. We got really close last year. And I think we had a lot of good reflections and takeaways from last season for how to get better this year and build on top of last year. And coming into the meet last week, we knew we could do it. So, like, as a realistic goal, 4 months I've had it as like something in the back of my mind that I'd be like, that would be awesome if everything went right. Like maybe a couple of years.
I also heard you talk about your goals back even in college, and the lifestyle that you currently live are vastly different than what you expected to be doing when you were 22 years old. Um, so I kind of want you to dive in a little bit of that, but also, not too long ago, about 2, 3 years ago, you were diagnosed with cancer and had to battle through that. Kind of take me through, like, how has your mindset shifted over the years, you think, to really mature into the athlete you are today, given those struggles, but also changes in what your goals are?
Yeah, I think throwing is a beautiful thing, or anything where you're trying to achieve mastery, I think is a beautiful thing because it forces you to sort of look inwards and be a better version of yourself if you really want to accomplish something great. For the most part, there are shitheads everywhere. But I think throwing, especially because it's such an individual sport and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, like you have to be really committed. You have to love the process. And to love the process, you also just have to love kind of being out there by yourself and being better at being yourself. So I think that's something that I've gotten better with and continue to try to get better with as I've gotten older and hopefully a little bit more mature. I think 22-year-old Sam was probably a bit of a prick, but I think I've gotten a little bit better and more mature. And yeah, the cancer diagnosis is crazy. I don't like to say that I battled through it because really it was just a surgery for me. It was like scary, but mostly shocking, and then just a surgery, and I was back quicker than I would have been if I like tore a hamstring. So just kind of like a scary thing that happened. But still that helped me kind of focus on the things I enjoy and try to savor each moment that I have, especially the moments I've left throwing, like even more.
And with the moments that you do have left throwing, you're using your platform, your status in the track and field world to spread awareness for climate change. Can you speak a little bit about the charities that you're currently working with? And you're currently doing a series of work throughout the season in which you're donating based off of the distances you're throwing. Can you teach us a little more about that?
Yeah, so the organization is called High Impact Athletes, and they have an initiative called Sport One Carbon Zero. So basically, what they do is they partner with charities and organizations doing innovation and policy work on the things that impact sport. So travel is a big component of that. Like we have to fly everywhere that we go, like all over the world to compete, but also like stadiums and food waste and things like that. So they're working with companies that are trying to address those problems, and they're trying to raise money for those companies to fix those problems through athletes. So the way it works for me is I've partnered with them, and for every meter I throw during the season, I'm giving them a quarter. So I'm not fouling any of my throws to try to make that total bigger. So you'll see me with, I think even in that series where I broke the American record, I want to say I had a couple throws that were like 64 or 62 that just wobbled off my hand, but I kept them. So the only fouls I'll have are sector fouls or foot fouls. So trying to raise as much money for them, and then there's a link on their page for anyone who wants to pledge with me and help raise money to address that and just keep sports and the world a better place.
And I think even beyond that, the influence of sport that you have on the next generation of throwers. Do you kind of have any, tips or life lessons that you've learned from the sport being a professional for as long as you have that you think like a young high school, even middle school thrower could take home with them to carry on their journey in track and field?
That's a big question. I think just
You're a big man with big answers.
well, not in the sport. I'm actually a relatively small man. It's kind of crazy, but I think just enjoy the process as much as you can. Like it's not progress is never a straight line, especially for throwing. There's like a month or two a year where I'm like, I think I've completely forgotten how to throw. Like it just doesn't work anymore, and that's gonna happen. But I think it's just enjoy the process, find someone you trust, find a training group you like, and even if they're not doing everything 100% correctly, if you enjoy it and you like throwing and you throw almost every day, you train almost every day, you're going to get much better at it. You stick the course and you'll get better at it. And more importantly, like very few people can be professionals. I'm very lucky to be one of them, but it's fun. Like have fun, enjoy it. Like there's only so much time in your life where you can be an athlete. So just savor it.
So I want to take you back to the day that you broke the American record. Your parents were watching from home. When you finally got a chance to call them after the performance, what was that conversation like?
Yeah, so they actually weren't watching because they're both so superstitious. And they say they aren't, but like during trials in 2021, they were both there. My mom picked a specific number seat that she thought was lucky, and my dad was like, "You're being superstitious. Anyway, I'm going to go to my lucky spot in Hayward Field." So my dad wasn't watching because he thought if he watched, it would jinx me. So I called him after, and he didn't see the throw, but he was just super excited. I think he could also sense it was coming just based off of the conversations we had had about how my training was going. But he was just like over the moon and thinking back about like we started throwing at like when I was in middle school, we would go to my elementary school and throw off their like cracked asphalt blacktop like pavement that they had for basketball into their field where I used to have recess, and I was wearing like Starbury $10 basketball shoes because we didn't have throwing shoes yet. So thinking about starting back then to where we are now is just it's been a crazy journey.
Thank you very much, Sam. You're a great man to have done what you've done, not only as an athlete, but as a person. I kind of want to call back to Joe Frontier from the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast. That I think those need to be taken into account when it comes to watching you for young athletes is that not only are you a great thrower, but you're a great person, and people, I think, have a lot to learn from the awareness you spread with your charities, but also just you just being a good guy and a good role model for young athletes. So I thank you for everything you do. Do you have any final words for people listening at home?
Hey, just enjoy what you do and try to leave the world a better place than you find it. Even if you're just throwing, like you can do something good. So I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Sam. The American record holder in the men's discus, Sam Mattis.